Okay, so we're going to go over subtracting integers. Okay? And we have this chart here. And it's many different Canadian cities and their lowest and highest temperatures. Okay. Now, one of the first questions asks, what are the lowest and highest temperatures? Okay, and those are important because we're going to make a number line to go through this. And what that's going to tell us is how low and how high the number line has to go. So what was the lowest possible temperature? Yeah, what city? Yeah, negative 49. So we know we got to go down to negative 49, maybe even negative 50 to make it an even number. What was the highest recorded temperature? Yeah, in Winnipeg. So again, we need to go all the way up to at least positive 42, maybe even the positive 50. So what we'll do is, since we're going to make it a range, we'll go down to negative 50 on this number line because we're going to do even numbers, and we'll go up to positive 50. Okay, so that's a big, big range. So we're going to go make this number line here. It's going to go right across. Let's go through this. Let's see how many actual slots we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, and if I were to go from negative 50 across, I think we'll go, if we go by tens, we should make it, okay? So here's our negative 50, negative 40, negative 30, negative 20, negative 10. What's next? 0, good. Then
positive 10,
Mhm.
positive 20, positive 30, positive 40, and positive 50.
Okay. Now, do you notice I didn't write a positive in front? Why didn't I do that? Do you know?
I'm guessing that if you watch the right, you already know it's going to be positive.
You're right. We assume with nothing in front of the number that is a positive number. Okay. In order to be a negative, we must put the negative in front. Okay. So we have that. What we can do is we can plot some of these points. Okay. Let's see how many cities we got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We'll try to use all these different colors to point out where they all go. Okay. But what we'll really start with is what's the lowest and highest temperature. So we knew we had a low. We had a low roughly about here, and the highest temperature was roughly about here. Okay, so we'll put little 2 spots there. 1 and 1. So this is going to be our range. Everything's going to go from here and here. They're all going to be within that range. Okay, so we have our lowest and highest temperatures. Let's start with Ottawa. We'll put Ottawa in blue, we'll say. Okay, so I'll put a little star beside it so we know it's the blue color. Negative 37 and positive 39. So where's negative 37 going to be?
Close to negative 40.
Yeah, you're right. Close to negative 40. On the right of negative 40, or is it on the left? So over here, negative 37.
No, on the right.
On the right of that number. Good. So we'll say it's about here for Ottawa. And what about its highest temperature?
Very close to positive 40.
Just about here, right? This was negative 37, and this was positive 39. Good. So we've done Ottawa. Let's try Toronto. Negative 32 and positive 41. Negative 32 is probably about here. And positive, what was it? 41? So that's positive 41. It's a funny looking 41. Okay. Next one, let's try Montreal. We'll say about there. Yeah. And then positive 38, right? Let's see if this thing. That one's not the nicest. What we can do is we'll use these guys. It's pretty thick. Okay, we'll try this one. Calgary is negative 36. So that's going to be right there. And what's its highest positive? 34. So a little before half. So we'll go like that. Alright, and I'll write it in black because I won't be able to write those numbers that nicely. What did we say this was? Negative 36 and
Positive 34.
positive 34. Okay. Let's get another one going here. Vancouver, negative 17. Yeah. Something around there. And positive
In the mid 5.
right there on top. So this is a positive 35 and a negative 17. What else do we got here? Winnipeg, negative 44. That's over here. And positive 42, which is our high point. So I won't put that one in. We already have it. Negative 44. And then for Churchill, they're negative 49, which we already had as our high point. Positive 37. Yeah, it's going to be around there. We'll just kind of throw the star on top. Okay. So if we notice, these are all pretty close in range when we take a look at them. But what's very important is the 2 points. And we're going to do a little arrow here. Our lowest was negative 49 all the way to our highest, which was positive 42. Positive 42, negative 49. Okay. Now, what's happened is we've started. This question also says draw a line from the lowest temperature, which we have over here, to the highest temperature. Okay. Now, which direction have we gone? Have we gone in a positive or negative direction? Yeah, we've gone in a positive direction. So, before we get into the subtraction of integers, what about, how can I make this a addition question? Where do we start at? Negative 49. How many spots did we go to get up to positive 42? How can we figure this out? Do you know? Well, let's think about 0 and how long it takes us to get to 0. From 49 to 0, how many steps is it? Yeah, it's 49 steps, right? So we went 49 steps to the right. We went 49 steps in a positive direction. And then from there, we went from 0 to positive 42. How many steps is that?
42.
Yeah. Again, we went in a positive 42. So if we add these two numbers together, we know how far it's gone. So what are these two numbers added together? 91. So if we were to make an addition question out of this, what would the addition say? Negative 49, yeah, plus positive 42. What did we get to? We got to, so that's where we end up. So that's what's going to be our equals. We're going to be equaling 42. How far did we travel in order to get to positive 42? 91. We went 91 spots in a positive direction. Okay, so that's what that's saying. Now, the question asks us to make this a subtraction question. Now, this is an addition question, so let's try it again. A subtraction question, we start at negative 49. Okay, we end up at positive 42. And we know the amount of spots is definitely 91. Okay, but how can I make this a subtraction question and still be equal? So you're saying, we'll put a test out here. You're saying negative 49 subtract 91? You want to see it? Let's try it in a calculator and double check. Why won't it work? Yeah, what that says is we start at 49 and we go in a negative direction 91. So we're going to get it this way, so we're not even going to be close, right? I can still make a subtraction question that works, though. So we know this one won't work. We know it's going to be a subtraction question, and we know 91 is going to be involved. What can I do to 91? Well, we already did. That's what this is here. That question is written like this. Negative 49. Subtract positive 91.
Can 49 be a positive?
We're only going to deal with the 91. What if I try it as a negative, the other option? So, this question says, negative 49, subtract negative 91. Okay, so in other words, we have double negatives here. So we're at negative 49, and it says to go in a negative direction, and then when we have a negative 91, you could say opposite of what we were doing before. So a negative and a negative. So instead of going in an actual negative direction, we end up heading in a positive direction. Okay? This question here, very important. These two things will give us the exact same answer, what we have here and what we have up here. They're going to give us the same answer, and I'll show you on a calculator. Okay? Negative 49 plus 91 equals positive 42. And then in our question that we created, negative 49, subtract negative 91, positive 42. Okay? So a double negative, you could say, this double negative here turns into a positive. That's one way we can look at it. While in this question here, the negative and the positive, they just turned right into a negative. Okay, so keep that in mind. If you ever have signs like this, where we have a negative, so let's start with just some even numbers here. I'm going to just use 10 and 5. Say I have 10 subtract negative 5. That is also equal to 10 plus 5. Okay, these two are equal. Here's another example. 10 subtract positive 5 is equal to 10 minus 5. Those two are equal. Okay? And the only other option we have here is 10 plus positive 5 is equal to 10 plus 5. Okay? And normally they put these numbers in brackets so that we can see the little difference between them. So I want you to keep these in mind. These are important rules. If I have a plus sign and a plus sign together, it's just a plus sign. If I have a negative sign and a negative sign together, it's a plus sign. And of course, the other option here, 10 plus negative 5. Do you know what that's going to make? Yeah, minus 5. Okay. And if we have opposite signs, they make negatives, no matter if it's first or second. Okay. So keep that in mind as a way to simplify a subtraction or addition question. When we have two operations, it looks like, together, it can be confusing on what they're actually asking us. So we can simplify them by just turning it into one. This way we know, start at positive 10, go 5 in a positive direction. Start at positive 10, go 5 in a positive direction. Start at positive 10, go 5 in a negative direction. 10, 5 in a negative direction. So that's a way we can simplify subtraction questions. Okay? Let's take a look at